Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Ohio Guys. I'm Christian Ocampo, and today I'm joined by Cal Jones. How you doing, sir?
Doing all right. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, man.
That's great.
Yeah.
Welcome to Houston.
Oh, yes. Thank you for the warm welcome.
Hope you brought an umbrella and a towel.
No, I didn't. So
Tarp?
no
Bring a
tarp.
Huh?
No,
All right.
I'm just traveling light, I guess.
All right. Good move.
All right. So we got a few questions for you. So first of all, what's it like working in the industry today?
The industry. First, I worked ADV. First stint a while back, and then went away back into advertising. Now back here, so there's distinctive differences. Before you could buy them on video cassette, if you know what those are, and now so much of it's online and streaming that, and how fast we do it has changed quite a bit too. Before we would do batches of like 4 or 5 episodes. Now we got to spit out the whole series in one big chunk, which I usually break in half when I work on it. I'll do the first 12 and the second 12, and just so I can keep the whole story in my head a little easier. Because my brain's very small, very, very small.
All right. Well, for that small mind of yours, what's it like? What's your favorite anime that you've directed or worked on?
Usually my go-to whenever asked that is Kino's Journey. It was kind of the first one I worked on that had, I don't know, it was just very serious and calm and cool and had all these little thought-provoking things that they were covering. And it was also very succinct. Kelly Cousins was Kino, and Cynthia Martinez was her talking motorcycle. And they would go from town to town discovering some new crazy place, and then sort of figure out, just the meaning of life in each one as they went, and that was really fun. But now, of course, second batch, I'd have to say Akame got killed. I mean, super fun show. It goes, it does really nasty, dirty, bloody things, and then kind of apologizes with some comedy and takes you back and forth, and it's a wild ride, and especially once you get to the end, it'll kind of blow you away.
Okay. Well, since you just mentioned a bunch of Akame got killed right now, what was it like working on it, either directing or, just
Oh, well,
watching it?
once the boys upstairs told me I was going to get to work on this, I was very excited. I had already heard a little bit about it. I don't really get to dive into a show until it's given to me. I just don't have time, really, so I went and watched it, and me and my sound engineer, Ricardo, watched it together, and we're like, oh, man, this is great. We've got quite a project on our hands, so got very excited. Casting is always that first thing in my head while I'm watching it. I've got all my actor friends and people I don't know, and all these voices in my head, and trying to narrow it all down is it's part of the fun, but also part of the nerve-wracking aspect of it.
Okay. So another type of the series out there, what was it like working on No Game, No Life?
No Game, No Life. That was a very good time. When that one came down the pipe, I had a lot of co-workers who were huge anime fans at Sentai, and they're going, Kyle, you gotta treat this one right. Don't you've got to get them. Our main guy, our main two, Shiro and Sora, have to resonate this this certain vibe, this brotherly, sisterly, and kind of they're proud but also nerdy at the same time. And so Scott Gibbs, who hadn't done a whole lot at the time, whenever I heard him read for it, it was kind of instantaneous. I was like, oh, that's the guy. Just kind of, and Caitlin French, I knew that one the second I heard her and heard the character in the show.
Okay. So another project you worked on with Caitlin French, what was that working on Sunday Without God?
Sunday Without God, kind of dark, and I've heard it compared a little bit to Kino's Journey, which maybe just because of that dark somberness to it, the kind of sit back, take your time, and will slowly reveal stuff to you. And so that one had that. I like the beginning and the end better than the middle, personally, but it as one big chunk of a piece, I think it comes together really well. And I thought Andrew Love as Hampney Hambart, he stood out a lot for me. I love, that was my favorite story arc, was the Hampney Hambart stuff.
Yeah, it's bad they killed him off too quickly.
Yeah, a little too soon. I wanted some more of them. They try and sneak them in the OVA later on, but it's just kind of a little third of the OVA.
Oh, okay. All right, so going back to the old ADV film days, what was that working on Kanon.
That one, which was connected kind of to Air in a slight way. First I did Air, and then whenever Kenan came around, I had to go to the old Rolodex of every girl actor I ever knew because it was loaded with them. And people ask me about this show all the time. I didn't know it was gonna be as popular as it was. Because I'm going, first when I heard about it, I was like going, okay, let's see, this looks really, really girly. What's what am I gonna do here? And because of Air, I felt I was able to kind of step into it a lot easier and have just a good understanding of how to play the relationships and keep it real. Don't create a bunch of huge characters. Every now and then there's one that kind of pops out as a little more outlandish and cartoony, if you will. But for the most part, we had to play it straight, keep everybody real, and let the story play out itself. Because my job is to stay out of the way. I don't want people looking at the dub. I want them watching the story, and that was one that certainly, is a good example of that. To kind of just step back, be in the background.
Well put.
Thank you.
All right, so another one from 80 Films. Was that working on Mad Max?
Mad Lax. That one, every show I used to do would have an extra on it. I loved doing the special features. That I've kind of slowed down a little bit now. Just our schedule's really fast. We're trying to work them in more. But that one, every single episode had a special feature, or every disc had a special feature. And this was, once again, back in that kind of 4 or 5 episodes a disc. And we called it Phone Calls with 3-Speed and Conversations with 3-Speed, excuse me. And because Madlax, Nancy Novotny's character, would get these mysterious phone calls for her next job, and we never really saw who that guy was. And so I go, well, why don't we do some prank phone calls with this? And so Jay Hickman, who was 3-Speed, so at the end of each section, we would go in and just kind of goof around in the studio, grab whoever he was talking to on those phone conversations and redo them just as a silly little lark on the side. And those end up being very fun to do. And then since it was kind of a piggyback off of Noir, where Matt Greenfield had put together a puppet show, a sock puppet theater thing, I asked, so we need a sequel to that, don't we? And so there's an Easter egg in there. I think it's just online now, but it's I believe it's called Gauze Sonica. But if you look up Madlax Sock Puppet Theater, you'll be able to find it out there. And so we did a whole good 11, 12-minute little short movie, all with sock puppets with the Madlax characters. Pretty silly.
I gotta check that out. That looks interesting.
It's good fun. You'll recognize some of the voices in there, I'm sure. They won't look quite the same, though.
All right. So is there anything else coming out that you can talk about, or anything you want to plug in at this time?
There's not much I can talk about. I would, I guess I have to throw out there, just as one more favorite thing I've gotten to work on. Just again, it falls in that special feature category. I got to do it with a whole bunch of friends of mine, and it almost didn't happen. Was the Redneck Gamera is what I used to get called to. The conventions used to bring me in for that. That was about the only thing I was interested in that I did. But so we took Gamera, the giant turtle version of Godzilla movies, live action, and did the whole movie, did like we're supposed to. And then on a couple Saturdays, we went up to the studio. I rewrote a bunch of stuff, and we added a bunch of country music to it. But the whole thing turned into a bunch of silly hillbillies and rednecks and white trash guys running around trying to solve this big turtle problem. There's one character who stays the same, Shelley Black's character in there. She remains, it's the same dialogue as the show, except for her very last line. So she's the only sane one in the whole thing, but everyone else just goes a little nuts trying to stop the giant turtle. Or help, depending on your viewpoint.
All right, then. Is there any Facebook, Twitter, or any other social media for the fans to follow you?
Fan-wise, is Kyle Colby is my Twitter handle. So join in, follow. We talk about Akame ga Kill every weekend. I try and do it a little bit before, and then I watch the show and then do it afterwards. If I tried to do it during the show, I'd miss the show. I want to watch it too. I'm a fan.
It's good to hear.
What's that?
Good to hear.
Oh yeah. Second I saw it, I was in all the way.
Nice. Right, sir. Well, thank you again for the interview. And
Thanks for having me.
yeah, we appreciate it.
Thanks for making the trip.
It was worth it.
All right, glad.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching another edition of the Ohio Guys. I'm Christian,
Kyle Jones,
and we'll see you next time.
take care.
Bye.